G'day, Joey here. Today we're going to have a quick look inside the Tesla Model S. This model is a p100d. It's the one with the longest range battery and also the quickest. It's not quite a golf cart. So let's check it out, just how things work. On the screen down below there you can see the range, 170 kilometers left to go, but this one will do about 450, 460. In the middle you can see the car, and on the right you can see another image of the car, and it will show if a door is open, for example like that, or anything else. If the front is open, the frunk, or the back is open, it will show all of that. It'll give you a warning if something is not right. If we move over and have a look at the screen, this center screen controls basically everything in the car. We can drag this down out of the way and see a map of the area. You can see at the moment I'm in France. And we can zoom out. Sometimes it takes a little time if the connection is not amazing, but it's usually pretty good. If you want to navigate to a particular place, you have a couple of options. You can hit navigate and type in the location. For example, if I want to go to here, I've chosen Paris, but we can change that to, let's say, Oslo. And we can just hit navigate, and the computer will calculate all of the stops along the way you've got to make. You don't need to worry about all of those kind of things. When it's a long trip like that, it can take some time, because it's got to think a little bit. If we have a look at the map here, you can see all of the different charging stations in Europe. Like pimples on a teenager, there's plenty there. You can go just about anywhere. Now you can see it's calculated, and it will give you all of the different superchargers you need to stop at along the way. This makes it really easy to go anywhere. If you've got an address or a name of a place, a city, it's really simple. You can also use voice commands, just simply by pressing this button here. Navigate to Oslo. You can see it's come up on the screen there. It's already in the computer, so that was quick. You can also have one more option. You can just simply point to a place on the map, anywhere, and it will take you there. Let's try Leipzig. Went to that and hit navigate. So now it will recalculate. The superchargers that are highlighted are the ones that are in range currently. If we go back to look at the screen here, we have 169 kilometers remaining. That's why there's only 4 superchargers within range. But this car will do about 460 kilometers on full battery. This takes some time to charge up, but on the superchargers it's quite quick. If you're charging to 80%, it will do it in about half an hour. But if you want to go to the last 20% and have a complete full battery charge, then it'll take about an hour and a half, sometimes longer. It depends on the amount of power available at the supercharger. So let's look at something else. We can cancel that. I don't want to go to Leipzig at the moment. We'll zoom out. A smartphone. Pinch for zoom. You can see all of the spots, superchargers in Europe. I'm living in Norway at the moment, so it's quite a drive to where I am now. If we go across to China, you can see there's quite a lot of superchargers in China. In Taiwan there's many. Enough to cover the whole country, I guess. In Japan, also in the southern part of Japan. You can go anywhere you want. Also in South Korea. If we move across to Australia, where I'm originally from, if you didn't pick that accent, you can see superchargers going from around here and in Sunshine Coast around to right around to South Australia into this area here where the big Tesla battery is. None in Tasmania at the moment, and there's one in Perth. If we now go across to the US, well, I guess you can go anywhere in the US now. Soon there will be superchargers going coast to coast in Canada also. So you can go anywhere where there's superchargers. Otherwise, you have other options for charging, for example, public charging stations, or you can charge in your wall socket at home, but of course it's much slower. Superchargers at the moment charge up to 110, sometimes a little bit more, 110 kilowatts. So you get juiced up pretty quick. Let's look at something else. If we look at driving, you can have different modes. Chill mode, and the car performs about at accelerations like a petrol car. Slow, you can have that. Or sport, it's quite quick. This car is the p100d, so it's also got ludicrous mode, and that is super quick. It's quick enough to make your passengers sick if you're not used to it. It's a bit of a surprise. Steering, that's the power steering. You can have comfort, standard, or sport mode. It's just different feelings on the steering wheel. Regenerative braking can be on standard or low. Low is so that the car will slow down more like a petrol car. It doesn't brake so much when you take your foot off the accelerator. I leave it on standard because I think, why not recapture some more of that energy that's lost when slowing down. Otherwise you have creep mode here. That's just so that it behaves like a standard automatic transmission. Slip start as if you're in mud or snow and you want to spin the wheels a bit. And range mode as if you are not sure if you're going to get there to the next charging station, so you put that on and you get a bit more range because the car will limit power to things like the air conditioning and so on. Let's move on to the suspension. This model, and actually all Model S's and all Model X, now have air suspension, which is adjustable. So at the moment it's on standard, but if we put it on low, it will drop the car down a little bit lower, or you can have it on high or very high, which gives you more clearance if you've got snow to drive through, or if you've got, for example, a dirt road or mud. It also helps a lot if you've got high gutters to negotiate. Otherwise, you've got music, of course, and you control this by voice commands. Play Dire Straits. Gives you an option of albums. And choose what you like. Or play the whole album. You can also search manually with a keyboard. What else have we got? On the steering wheel you've got some control buttons here. This is to control the sunroof. All Teslas now have a glass roof. Some of them have a fixed glass roof and some of them have an opening glass roof like this one. You also have options to change the graphics on the screen there behind the steering wheel. For example, if we press this scroll wheel, you can change what is shown there. Here we have energy, and it's a graphic of how much energy you're using while you're driving, and some history. I'm never too concerned about this because, well, I'm never short of energy with the car. It's a big battery, there's always plenty of charging stations around, there's no problems. Range anxiety is just something that people who haven't experienced a modern electric car are worried about. It's not really any concern at all with a modern car with a decent sized battery. That's about it for the basics. Otherwise, to drive, you simply put your foot on the brake, use this lever here, pull it down for drive, and up for reverse. Drive is completely silent, and you can probably see that the mirrors adjust when you're reversing, so you can see a little bit better behind you. The car also features Autopilot, which allows you to stay within the lines and follow the curves. It's getting pretty smart now, it's learning all the time, so some people are getting complacent. It's getting quite good, but it's not quite there yet. It does make mistakes, and sometimes the lines are not clear on the road, so it's difficult for Autopilot, but it's getting better all the time. Soon it will be able to read signs on the road and recognize traffic lights and negotiate roundabouts. It can already handle highways and motorways with no problem. It can change lanes if you just press the indicator to let it know your intention. If there's cars in the way, it won't let you change lanes. Because it's got cameras all around the car, 2 on each side, 3 on the front and 1 at the back. There's also ultrasound sensors, and they're sensing objects that are close to the car, and there's also a radar at the front, and it will control the distance of the car to the car in front. It all works very well, but sometimes if there's heavy rain, it will give you a warning that the sensors are limited. So that's about it for the basics of the Tesla. Some people feel that the interior is a little bit too basic. For me, it's fine. I don't believe you buy a Tesla for the interior. It does so many other fantastic things. Drives silently, drives quick if you want to, it drives calmly if you want to also. It's a relaxing car to drive. It's great if you like music, because there's not a lot of noise in the car, and also things like the interior has been isolated from road noise with special tires, foam in the outside of in the inside of the tires, but around the outside it absorbs some sound. The car is pretty well insulated. It's also got things like camper mode. This is something I've used before and it's quite cool. You can, if you're leaving the car, you can put camper mode on here, and it will keep the temperature exactly where you want it, which is nice. You can also preheat the car. Everything is controlled on the phone. There's a Tesla app. You can switch on the temperature remotely and warm up the car, which is great if you've got snow. You can melt the snow and you don't need to chip away at it before you get inside the car. It's also nice if you're in a very hot place. Cool down the car before you come to the car. The app can also control other things like locking and unlocking the car, and several other features which we can look at another time. Well, that's about it for the basics of a Tesla. We'll talk again soon.